This thing of okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. The next chapter, we finished the last chapter. The next chapter we're going to do now is Babu Zikri al-Alamati Bain al-Sa'ati wa Zikri al-Dajjali. But if you remember correctly, what was the previous heading you done? Read for me the previous heading. The previous, Babu Asharat al-Sa'a. That was more like you can say, remember we told you a few times already, this Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, that's from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to the Mahdi, that is Alamat al-Sughra. Then from the Mahdi to Qiyamah is Alamat al-Kubra, right? So this one is like Babu Ashrat al-Sa'a. This was more general, although it's not qualified there. But this year would include the Alamat al-Kubra and the Alamat al-Sughra, right? Are you with me? So the next bab we're going to do here is more the ones that are closer to Qiyamah, right? Which we term as Alamate Kubra. And in particular here, Dajjal, because this is one of the final and last signs. This is one of the final and last signs. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, قال الله تعالى وإنه لعلم للساعة. It's verily it is la'il, the knowledge of the last hour. فلا تمترن بها, do not have doubt, right? واتبعوا هذا واتبعوا هذا صراط المستقيم, then follow this straight path, right? And I was telling you that here this refer more to the bigger signs in this bab here. It refer more to the bigger signs, and in particular the emergence of Dajjal, because Dajjal is also from amongst the big and the major signs. That's why there's this, right? So actually, it wasn't necessary to mention this separate, but because it is such a major event, such a famous event, that's why it is mentioned separate. Are you with me? So this is like how we say in English, التخصيص بعد تعميم. That means you mention something specific after something general, right? So here the author is saying that it would have been appropriate even if the Sahib Mishkat mentioned here that Babu Dhikr al-Amat ibn Sai wa Dhikr al-Dajjal wa Dhikr al-Mahdi, but because it was already been mentioned earlier a little bit, so maybe he never mentioned again, right? There was mention of it earlier. That's why I never mentioned it again here. It did come by the way because Risi Nabi Sassam just mentioned it, right? And then the ulama came after and they made the categorization. You understand what I'm saying? So it could be overlapping. So the full tartib, just remember now this. So ulama have taken sometimes in certain hadith, you will find the order is mixed up because Nabi Sallallahu was not explaining the order. Like, say, like I tell you, this will happen. Like I say, madrasa is going to close. Then we're going to have holiday. We're going to, like madrasa is going to close. We're going to have holiday. And then exams is going to come, etc., etc. So my idea is not to explain this. I'm just tell you, these are the forthcoming, events. Like I say, hey, look, we have to start now rounding up because holidays is coming, madrasa is closing, exams is coming, etc. So as you look at it, what comes first? First comes exam, then comes closing of madrasa, then comes holiday. But there my murad was not tartib. My murad was not tartib. I was just explaining to you. So many times Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his murad was not tartib. He was just saying that this will happen, and then that will happen, right? Qiyamah will not come until this happens, and Qiyamah will not come until that happens. So the ulama, they took Allah Ta'ala reward them. They took all the hadiths and they put them together and they extracted the order from that. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, inshallah, yeah, I'm going to mention to you the proper order. Now you must remember this here. Remember this. This is the order of the 6 major events. Remember it. People don't write down, but anyway, you remember it. First is the proper order, Zuhur Mahdi, which starts the Alamat Kubra, right? The appearance of the Mahdi, which we discussed. It came many times in the smaller signs, I told you, when you will be identified between the Maqam Ibrahim and the Ruqid Yamani. Then the next will be Khuruj Dajjal, second major event. Then third will be Nuzul Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, right? Then Khuruj Ya'juj wa Ma'juj, the emergence of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Then you get Khuruj Dabbatil Ardi. The first one was the emergence of the animal from the land. Then you get Tulu'u Shamsi min al-Maghribi, the rising of the sun from the west. Normally the sun rises in the east, right? But now it will rise from the west. Like I told you, so I mentioned to you, when we go through the riwayat, inshallah, you will see some riwayat, it mentions in proper order, and some it just mentions randomly. And I told you, I gave you the reason that many times Nabi Sallallahu Murad wasn't tartib. His Murad was just say, this will happen, that will happen, are you with me? Dajjal is like اسم المبالغة like people يقولون إن ربك فعال لما يريد. فعال Dajjal. He can do whatever you want to. So it's Mubalagha, Dajjal, great deceiver. Great deceiver. That's how I was telling you that many people, they say, many ulama even, Moses Numlar, one Kaji's bayans, they say that even though Dajjal never emerged, Dajjal never emerged, but we are definitely living in the Dajjali era. We are living in the Dajjali. You don't know what is the truth. You don't know what is the truth. You don't know who is your well wisher. You don't know who is your enemy. Nothing. I mean, just like if you look at current world events, currently with regard to Iran, we don't know if we know the Jah will emerge from a place in Isfahan, which is located in Iran. If you look at the leadership of Hamas, Ismail Haniya, etc., you follow. He was killed in Iran under such dubious circumstances, you can't even believe it. They say even the leader of Hezbollah, right, Hassan Nasrallah, how for 30 years they couldn't kill him. For 30 years they couldn't find him. For 30 years they don't know where he is. But within a short space of time they killed Ismail Haniya and they killed Hassan Nasrallah. So what does that show you? Somebody sold him out. It shows you somebody sold him out. So you don't know what is happening. You don't know the Iran proposed they claim to be the well wishes of the Muslims or the well wishes of the Sunnis or the well wishes of Hamas. But there is theories that they sold him out. So I was telling you, the Dajjali era, this is just one example. There's so many things. So we say, even though maybe the Dajjal himself hasn't, and this makes sense also, that you remember Dajjal will be a great deceiver. He will project things contrary to what it is. He will project things contrary to what it is. He will say, this is the Jannah, but in fact it will be Jahannam. He will say, this is Jahannam, but in fact this will be Jannah. So it will be the age of great deceit. You don't know what is happening. You don't know what is happening. Even I'll just give you another example. They say, in this country, they say Mandela, Nelson Mandela, he was a savior, he was the hero, he's the one who saved the day. But there's so many theories. They say he's the one that sold out the South Africans. He sold the South Africans out. He sold to line his own pockets up. He sold. He gave the South Africans a raw deal. He sold out. He formulated policies. It was all pro big business. He formulated policies. It was all big businesses. He never thought in Codesta when there was meeting something onto apartheid. He never formulated policies that would benefit the poor. So he was even before he came out of prison. He was already brainwashed and he was groomed to fulfill this role. So you don't know what. To the rest of the world in the media, he's projected as a hero, but actually he's a villain. He's the one who sold out the country to big business, to what they call it, white monopoly capital, right? Allah Ta'ala knows best. But I'm just telling you. So what I'm saying is this era of the Dajjal where you don't know, you will never know what is the truth. What you see is not the truth. There's much, much more deeper things, right? So if what I'm saying is if the Jala hasn't emerged, then definitely with no doubt we are in the Jali area. So remember, as we go through the hadith, we will learn that the Jal is actually he's imprisoned somewhere, right? He's in prison somewhere. The hadith will tell us. So some people might argue and say, look here, nowadays, you have satellite dishes. You have the satellite, not dishes, the satellites in the sky. People have traveled the whole world, etc., etc. How come nobody found out where's the Dajjal? How come nobody knows where's the Dajjal? Firstly, we can answer this question in two ways. But remember, we say it's in prison somewhere that there have people discovered the whole world. There's still places, still today, there's places in the Amazon jungle which has made no contact with mankind as yet. You know that there are people living in the Amazon jungle till today that they haven't come in contact with modern civilization. So there are places in the world which hasn't come in contact with modernity as yet. So why is it so difficult to believe that the Dajjal could be somebody somewhere? Same arguments hold true for Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And also if you say that Allah Ta'ala can make it so Allah Ta'ala conceals it. Allah just makes it as such that nobody discovers this place only when the time is right. Although there is a Sahabi Tamim Dari that discovered the Dajjal, we will do that hadith inshallah. So to use that argument to say that nobody discovered the Dajjal, nobody saw the Dajjal, to negate the existence of Dajjal, it doesn't make sense from every angle of the word, right? Allah Ta'ala make it as such that you mustn't go to a certain place, etc., etc. Allah Ta'ala just turn the people's minds away from that. How many places in the world that hasn't been discovered as yet? So I remember our belief is that Dajjal, he is imprisoned, he's fettered on an island somewhere. An interesting point here, normally when we use the word Dajjal, we say Masih Dajjal also. And also Isa alayhi salam, we say the Masih, right? But both has different connotations. Both has different connotations. Remember, Dajjal is Mamsuhul Ain. His one eye is ineffective. And Masih refer to a person, like you know the word Arabic, siyaha, this siyaha, to travel, to go, as Isa alayhi salam will travel extensively through the earth, right? This why it's also called Masih. That's why it's also called Masih. And another also reason, remember, as Isa alayhi salam was the one who tubri'ul akmaha wal abrasa. He would cure the sick by placing his hand over them. Right. So, okay, this was a brief introduction. Let's look at the hadith. Let's look at the first hadith, inshallah. Read it, Bismillah.
قال إنه حتى تروا قبل أشهر فذكر
Okay, perfect. Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وعن حذيفة بن أسيد الغفاري قال اطلع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم علينا ونحن نتذاكر. That once Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم appeared before us whilst we were discussing something. فقال ما تذكرون? What are you discussing? What are you speaking about? Make me part of your discussion. قالوا نذكر الساعة. We are speaking about the final hour. That is, we are speaking about what will happen. قال إنها لن تقوم حتى تروا قبلها 10 آيات. So since they were speaking about it, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam decided to give them some more additional hidayat guidance with regard. He said, let me tell you something. لن تقوم, Qiyamah will not come. It will never come. حتى تروا, until you as the ummah do not see, in other words, do not experience قبلها, before it, 10 آيات. We experienced 10 signs. فذكر الدخان. He mentioned about the smoke, a type of smoke that will appear upon the horizon. There will be a smoke that will appear on the horizon, right? Then the Dajjal, he mentioned the Dajjal, right? What dabbata, then the dabba that will come out of the earth. وطلوع الشمس من مغربها, then the rising of the sun from the west. ونزول Isa, and then he spoke about the descension of Isa alayhi salam. He said, no, then he spoke ويأجوج ومأجوج, then he spoke of يأجوج ومأجوج وثلاثة خسوف, right? And then the 3 sinkings into the earth. خصف ومسخ, right? وثلاثة خسوف. خصف في المشرق, one sinking in the right, in the east. وخصف المغربي, one sinking in the west, right? وخصف بجزيرة العرب, and one sinking the Jazira Arab. Remember we speak about this. Remember the army that will come to attack the Mahdi, then they will be sunk in Bayda. Remember with the Dal, right? وآخر ذلك, and at the end of that there will be a fire, نار, fire, تخرج من اليمن. It will emerge from Yemen. تطرد الناس طردا ولا تطرد الذين يدعون ربهم بالغداة والعشي. It will drive the people إلى محشرهم, to the place of محشر, means resurrection, right? وفي رواية نار تخرج من قعر عدن. Another riwayat, a fire that will emerge from قعر عدن, from the pit of Aden. تسوق الناس إلى المحشر. It will drive the people to the محشر. وفي رواية في العاشرة, another riwayat, the 10th one, وريح, a wind, تلقي الناس في البحر, will drive the people to the ocean. رواه مسلم, Imam Muslim narrates this particular riwayat. So if you look at this riwayat here, very interesting riwayat, it mentions the I mentioned to you the 6 major signs, right? And you can see also they're not particular order, but in addition to the 6 major signs, there's something else also mentioned. You got something extra. By the way, Nabi also mentioned some extra things as well. Right, are you with me? So, Ad-Dukhan, if you look at this hadith here of Hudayfat ibn Asidin, he mentioned the Dukhan amongst the major signs that will come close to Qiyamah. So according to him, this refers to a fire that, or smoke, whatever, that will become close to Qiyamah. Although, remember, we spoke earlier about the fire and some of that happened in Medina. Remember, we spoke about the fire that where the people of Medina were begging and beseeching Allah for 40 days. Such a huge fire that as though the night would turn into day. Remember, it was such an intense fire, it consumed everything that came in front of it. But here he mentions the separate, which shows you this is something else, right? It will happen in what we term as Akhirul Zamana. It will spread from the east to the west. This fire will rage. It will burn for 40 days. As mentioned here, that this will affect the Muslims in such a way that they will get like a nose run because of it. But the kuffar, when the smoke of this afflicts them, they will fall down unconscious. And Allah Ta'ala also speaks about this. Interesting, He says in the Quran, it says, يَوْمَ تَأْتِ السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ. And remember on that day that the sky will bring forth بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ. What? A clear smoke. يَغْشَى النَّاسِ. It will envelop the people. Although according to Ibn Mas'ud, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, his explanation was that this took place already. This took place already. I read somewhere else, they say, remember I told you, in the time of Umar, there was severe drought. There was severe drought. People were hungry, and that is the time as Umar radiallahu ta'ala even suspended the had of Sadaqah because people were hungry. They were dying of hunger, and they couldn't help themselves. So here, it's called Amur Ramad. What's it called? Amur Ramad. What does Ramad means? Ramad means like ish. Means, so it's mentioned there is people were so hungry that, you know, when you are very hungry and you're weak, you can't see properly, you become dizzy. You use your ability to see correctly. You use your ability to think correctly. So the people in Makkah at that point in time, they lost their ability to see properly. The sky would appear like, you know, like it was ashen. The sky would apply like it was ashen. It was called Amur Ramad. So according to Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, this Dukhan already took place in the time of Umar. Are you with me? But here, from this hadith of Huzayfat ibn Usaid, you can see he's saying, no, this couldn't refer to, maybe that was a different incident, but here it refers to something that will take place close to Qiyamah. Are you with me? Sometimes, you know, a verse can refer to two things. Like I always said, لا يختص what's it that we done in usul tafsir, man. الإبرة لعموم المورد لا لخصوص الإبرة لعموم اللفظ لا لخصوص المورد. The lesson is for the generality of the word, not for a specific incident. Then the next interesting thing that is discussed, we're not discussing all the things because many of them discussed already. He speaks about the Dabbatul Ard. Now the Dabbatul Ard is an animal that will emerge from the mountain and it will speak to the people. So I told you many of these alamat, ulama have taken it in the literal sense. But some ulama, you know, they take this in the figurative sense. So, you know, I told you the progress in AI, you know, this AI, artificial intelligence, things, inanimate things, things that don't have life. It is, you know, you can develop an intelligence for it. So it can have a normal conversation. It can think for itself. Until now, like if you speak to Google or whatever, it can only give you back what is there in it. You know, the Google is only what information is stored there. Can't tell you anything besides that. But AI, it has the ability to think on its own. AI, it has the ability to think on its own. That's why they say one of the fears of AI is that soon it will overtake man because you train that thing to think on itself, so it can make its own decisions. It can make its own decisions. So maybe certain equipment, whatever, if it's got the ability to make its own decisions, it can overrule the decision of man. So if the owner say no, you must do this, but that's not the right decision. This is how it must do. What if I decide now that mankind has become a nuisance to the world, we must kill all of mankind, we must destroy them from the earth, right? So I was telling you, Allah Ta'ala knows best. Just my own thoughts on the matter. That a animal or a creature that will come out of the earth and will speak, etc., etc. Maybe it is, it's in a literal sense that it will be a creature, or maybe it's making a reference. Like I told you, we discussed the hadith about a person, his shoelaces speaking to him. Like I told you get the shoes to tell you you have walked so many kilometers, you have burned so many calories, etc., etc. Well, I was telling you about that. They call it that thing. We know a person that suffers from diabetes. You have a little gadget that is fixed. So it tells you that your sugar is too high, your sugar is too low. You need to eat something, or you're eating too little, or whatever. Right? So Allah Ta'ala knows best. It could be referring to those things where things will speak. But anyway, it says here, Da'batul Ard actually will happen 3 times. One is in the time of the Mahdi, and then the time of Nuzul Isa, and then another one at the time of Tulu Shams. All right, so that's also one of the signs of Qiyamah. Then Qar refer to like a deep pit, a distant deep pit. And Adan is in Yemen. So a fire will emerge from Yemen. A fire will emerge from Yemen that will drive the people, right? So, I mentioned this before. It could be in the literal sense. It could be in the literal sense that the fire will come, although some ulama say this took place already. We discussed this. Or it could be something in a modern, like modern warfare. I mentioned to you also last time about the nuclear bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It created such a bright glare that people that looked through the crook of their arm, they could see through it, they could see the flash beyond it. They could see it was so bright that the light even went through their arm. Remember I told you that? So it could be referencing something new. Look, if many times also just to understand this, if Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had to explain something of a modern nature, people wouldn't understand it. People wouldn't understand it. So it was explained in ways that they could understand. Like I tell you always this verse, Allah Ta'ala says, وَالْخَيْلَ وَالْبِغَالَ وَالْحَمِيرَ لِتَرْكَبُوهَا وَزِينَةً وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Allah Ta'ala create for you horses, donkeys, mules to ride. وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And He will also create something that you do not know. You do not know. In other words, in future, you will create something that you, older Sahaba, not know. So spoilers we explain to you. So that's why ulama say that here in the Quran, Allah Ta'ala was making reference like to modern modes of transport, train, plane, jet, whatever. You understood? So things maybe it could be in a I'm just in my own thoughts, right? It could be in a modern hue, it could be in a modern form, etc., etc. But because people who didn't understand it, um, it's just explained in words that the Sahaba Ikram could understand. Like I was telling you now, it's nuclear warfare, maybe a nuclear bomb will drive people, etc., etc. Right? Allah Ta'ala knows best, but that's just some of my thoughts I'm sharing with you. Read the next riwayat.
قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بادروا بالأعمال ستا
Right. This hadith, we did touch a little bit upon this before. See, this is actually an exhortation to do as much good deeds as possible before you can't do any good deeds. Look there, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن أبي هريرة نرد أثر أبو هريرة قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said بادروا بالأعمال, hasten with good actions while you can. يعني قبل الستين, before 16, الدخان, before the smoke will come, والدجال, before the Dajjal come, ودابة الأرض, the animals from the earth will come, وطلوع الشمس مغربا, before the sun will rise from the west, وأمر العامة, and the matter of the general populace, وخويصة أحدكم. If you got also a tajdid on the sad, and you got a sakin on the ya, there's no sakin on the ya. وخويصة أحدكم رواه Muslim, Imam Muslim narrates. Anyway, what this hadith is saying, this is similar to the hadith, اغتنم ثلاث قبل ثلاث. Take advantage of three things before three things. Take advantage of your youth before your older age. Take advantage of your wealth before poverty. Take advantage of your free time before you are permanently occupied. Once Allah Ta'ala has given you these luxuries, or these, what's a luxury, yeah, it was a nice word, another word I was thinking about. He's given you these opportunities. Seize these opportunities. Seize these opportunities. Because very soon there will be a time where these opportunities will not be there. So now you've got peace, you've got calm, you are able to practice upon your deeds. So do that. Once the fitan start, right? So Dukhan, we discussed that. Dajjal, we discussed that. Dabatul Arab, we discussed that. Tulu Ashams, the rising of the sun from the west. We discussed this. Remember also I told you that there was an article in I'll show it to you. They're saying that the earth, it normally takes like 24 hours for it to make a full rotation. That's how you get. But they say it's going slower and slower, very, very slow. It's just losing time by like our clock. Sometimes you set the clock, right? When the time is right, but very gradually over a few days, it loses a second or something like that. And over a period, you see it's now 1 minute behind, it's 2 minutes behind. You ever saw something like, yeah, it happens, right? Not on your electronic clocks. But they say even the Earth rotating on its axis from a scientific point of view, it's delaying every day by very, very, like maybe 1,000th of a second. So eventually, as a result of this, I can't remember the exact details, it will happen as such that one day when it all adds up, it will appear as though the sun is rising from the west. Allah Ta'ala knows best. Then, وَأَمْرَ الْعَامَّةِ, أَمْرَ الْعَامَّةِ, it refers to the matter of the general masses. We did mention a little bit about this before. One is, Qiyamah, the main Qiyamah, it will affect everybody one time. And one is everyone face their own Qiyamah. مَّاتَ فَقَدْ قَامَتْ قِيَامَتُهُ. That person who passes away, then his Qiyamah starts, because already he's going to start tasting the result of his actions. So here's speaking about وَأَمْرَ الْآمَّةِ, and the matter that will face all the people. And here he's saying, in the Shara, what it means, when people will generally have an apathy towards Islam, they will not be interested in practicing Islam. If you tell him, like, you do this good deed, you go to Jannah, you do this good deed, you get this reward, you do this, you get this reward. If you do this here, you get this punishment, this will happen to you. It doesn't bother them, they're not interested in it. There's a lack of interest, right? Then, that is specific related to every one of you. One is, like I told you, we mentioned, إِنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ fitna. Verily, amwalukum, your wealth, is a fitna, is a test for you. It is a test for you, right? So that is the test. It afflicts every single one of you. Then you'll have the general test that will affect the whole community jointly, like when the Dajjal come, it will affect the whole community. When the Dabatul Arab come, it will affect the whole community, etc., etc., etc. So, this refers to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saying that even if you do not experience these big signs of Qiyamah, but you also will have your individual test, right? Like I told you, even if you are not going to face Qiyamah now, but when you die, you're also going to have your mini Qiyamah, in the sense that you have to answer for your good deeds. So even though if you will pass away before Dabatul Arad, Dajjal, etc., Tulu Shams, but every day you also got your test. Amwarukum. There's a hadith I told you, says that your child is mabkhalun, majbanatun, your wealth and your children, it makes you stingy, it makes you a coward. How does your wealth make you stingy? How does your children make you stingy? How does your family make you stingy? No, I can't spend so much in the path of Allah Ta'ala. If I give all, how will I feed my children? Even I die, what will be left for them? Make you stingy. No, I can't go in jihad now. If I go in jihad now and I pass away, what will happen to my wife? What will happen to my children? My children will suffer in the process. So see, your children, your family makes you a coward. Ya ayyuhalladhina innama amwalukum wa auladukum fitna. So this is what he's making reference here to. Wa khuwaisata ahadikum. So even though you as an individual, maybe you will pass away. You will pass away before that comes. You will pass away before the general ibtilai amah, the general test comes. You will pass away. But yes, you as an individual will still have your test daily. So, badiru bil a'mali. Hasten with your good deeds. You got money today, you say, no, I'll give later, I'll give tomorrow. What guarantee if you got you're going to have that money tomorrow? What guarantee if you got you're going to have that money tomorrow? So do it now. You say, no, I'm still young now. I'm still young now. I will start my tahajjud namaz later or I'll start fasting later. What guarantee you got you're going to live longer? What guarantee you got you're going to have that health at a later stage? So badiru. So badiru refers to the general test. So from Dukhan, Dajjal, Dabat al-Arad, Tulu al-Shams, Maghribiha, till there it refers to Amr al-Amati. Till there it refers to all the general tests. Then Khuwaisata ahadikum refer then to the individual test that every single one of us face on a daily basis. I told you, right? Amwalukum mabkhalun majbanatun, right? Some like Aisha, Inna Allah yaqbalu tawbat al-abdi ma lam yuharghir. Allah Ta'ala accepts the tawbah of person as long as the sound doesn't come. Once the sound comes, it is finished. Right, we'll just do one more before we switch over, inshallah.
عن عبد الله بن عمرو وجناد عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن أول الآيات خروج طلوع الشمس من مغربها وخروج الدابة على الناس من ضحاها وأيهما ما كانت قبل صاحبتها والأخرى على أثرها فريدا.
Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وعن عبد الله بن عمرو قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن أول الآيات خروجا طلوع الشمس من مغربها وخروج الدابة على الناس ضحى وأيهما كانت قبل صاحبتها فالأخرى على أثرها قريبا رواه مسلم. Interesting hadith here. The authority of Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, I heard Rasul saying that verily from the first big signs will come طلوع الشمس من مغربها, will be the rising of the sun from the west. Normally it sets in the west, right? وخروج الدابة, then the coming, the emerging of the Daba. We discussed this in detail. I told you it could be literal, it could be figurative. Allah Ta'ala knows best. It could be a creation, a monster, a computer, it is AI, whatever. All right, وخروج ضحى in the latter part of the day. Then he's saying وأيهما كانت قبل. I'm not saying that which one will come first. This is the Sahabi saying, but whichever one comes first, whether it is طلوع الشمس or whether it is خروج الدابة, whichever one, but know when the one appears, the other one will appear in quick succession. The other one will appear in quick succession. وأيهما كان قبل صاحبنا فالأخرى على أثرها قريبا, will come very, very quickly. So yeah, if you look at this hadith, the interesting thing, the question has come to your mind, that we know from the other hadith that Tulu Shams wasn't explained as the first. First you got, remember, you got Zuhur Mahdi, and then after Zuhur Mahdi, you got Nuzul Isa, then you get Dajjal, then you get the slaying of Dajjal, etc., right? So those are the beginning of the major signs. Those are the beginning of the major signs. But here, Tulu Shams, Maghribiya is explained to the major sign. Answer is pretty simple. The other thing is, although all of these from the Mahdi, all of these are alamat kubra from there, But the alamat kubra can be divided into two categories also. The first alamat kubra is those that will be a little distance time away from Qiyamah, and then you get those that will just be before Qiyamah, just be. Because remember all this time here, where there's the Dajjal, where the Mahdi, there's still a person can be good, a person can do good actions, right? But here we're speaking about those that are just before Qiyamah, where even if you bring Iman or you do good deeds, it will not be accepted. Why? Because remember, just understand this like this. See, Nabi Sallallahu said in the hadith, Inna Allah akbaru tawbat al-abdi ma'alam yuhar, right? Allah Ta'ala accepts the tawbah of a person until that gurgling sound doesn't come out. If after that you make tawbah or even you believe, it will not be accepted. Why? Because this is already mukashafatul ghaib. Remember, what is the same feature of our iman? Alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaib. Those who believe in the unseen. So the moment the unseen start, that is why you know you can. There's a lot of questions you ask. Why Allah Ta'ala don't just destroy these people? Why Allah Ta'ala don't just help these people? Why Allah Ta'ala don't just do this? Because if Allah Ta'ala just does everything like it, if Allah Ta'ala's help is like open, manifest, glaring all the time, every time the Muslims are being victorious, every time the Muslims are winning, the Muslims are invincible, then where's the Iman bil ghaib? Then you believing in what you can see, what your eyes are. I'm saying. So once there's a mukashafatul ghaib, once the things of the unseen is open in front of a person, now that is not iman bil ghaib, so that is not accepted. You understand what I'm saying? A similar example, proof from the Quran, when Fir'aun was stuck between the ocean and the masses of water was coming, and the angel of death was coming. آمنت بالذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل وأنا من المسلمين. I believe in the Lord which the Banu Israel believed in. وَأَنَا مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and I'm from amongst the believers. As Allah says, الْآنَ وَقَدْ أَصَيْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِ. Now you want to believe? Too late. Now you want to believe? It's too late. So once there's mukashafatul ghaib, once the things of the unseen starts opening up in front of you, then it is too late. So same thing here. You're saying from those big signs which are mukashafatul ghaib, where after this iman is not accepted. And there is a hadith we'll do which says also there that once the sun rises from the west, then your iman is not accepted anymore, because now there's already mukashafatul ghaib. So what we're doing now is we are further categorizing the alamat kubra into those until where your iman is still accepted, and to those where your iman is not accepted. So this we say, this is the big sign that are just before Qiyamah. Are you with me? Okay, we stop there, inshallah. So the whole idea is that until that point comes where your iman will not be accepted, you must make tawbah, you must turn towards Allah Ta'ala, etc., etc.